Today we are going to be learning about args and kwargs in Python. Now, like every other video in this channel, if you're stuck, don't worry, you can access the practice notebook that I have made for you by clicking the link in the comments below. Okay, so let's go to a Jupyter notebook and learn about args and kwargs in Python. See you there! Okay, so first I need to tell you what args and kwargs are. So args stand for multiple arguments and kwargs stand for multiple keyword arguments. Okay, so we haven't learned about keyword arguments yet, but we have learned about arguments. So let's go ahead and revise what a function does so we can learn about keyword arguments and then move on to what args and kwargs are. Okay, so I'm just going to define a very simple function called def my func. So remember, you need to put in your def there. And then I've got my two parameters a and b. I put my colon and I'm going to put a doc string. So remember, a doc string tells you what the function does. Okay, so what in my case, it returns 5% of the sum of a and b. Okay, so it returns 5% of it. Now let's write what happens when you call our function. So what we want to do is return, and then when you're going to use the sum function over here, so I'm going to return the sum of a and b, and then I'm going to times that by 0.05 or 0.05. The reason I didn't add in the zeros because you don't always need to in Python like that. So I just put 0.05. So this result is going to give me 5% of the sum of a and b. And then I'm going to put in my func and then my two parameter values is 40 and 60. Now these are just normal arguments and I want to specify keyword arguments. So what keyword arguments do is they specify whether it specifies which parameter value goes to which parameter. So I could say a is equal to 60 and b is equal to 40. Okay, so that's a keyword argument because I said the parameter b has a parameter value of 40. Okay, so if I run this, it will still give me the same answer as putting 60 and 40 normally. Okay, so if I run this again, it still gives me 5.0. Okay, so now let's consider the fact that it's not always enough if we put in just two parameters. Some people may want to put in more than two, and if we do, and we want to put more than two, and we want the user to use as many as they like. Okay, so we have a maximum of up to 5 values, but you don't need to use 5 parameters. Okay, and one solution to this is to put 5 parameters and set them to a default value of 0. So if the user does not enter a parameter value for any leftover parameters, then that will be 0 and it will be added and it doesn't matter. It will not change the result. So I'm going to say a equals 0, b equals 0, c equals 0, d equals 0, and e equals 0. Okay? And then I just need to mention them here, A, B, C, D, and E. And then if we run this, it doesn't give an error, and it goes 6, 7, 8. It still doesn't give an error, but if I exceed the limit of my parameters, it will give me an error. Now, if we want to solve this, then what we can do is introduce our args. Okay, so this is where this args function, args come in. Now, how we define args is with a asterisk, and then you need to put in your parameter name. Now, I would prefer putting the default parameter args, but you can put anything else. But I like putting args because it it's more specific what that you are putting args in over here. And then over here, I just need to put in args again. Sorry. And note that I don't need to put the asterisk over here is because I already defined it over here, so it doesn't really matter. Sorry. Let me just move this back here. And then if we try this again, I didn't get any errors. So I could just put in like loads of other numbers as well. So like this. And I still wouldn't get an error because args, because this asterisk is telling our Python interpreter, hey, our user can type in as many parameter values as they like, okay? So now we have done args, we can do kwargs. But before that, let me show you what would happen if I actually put in a different parameter name over here. So nums, and nothing would happen. So it doesn't actually matter. Okay, so now let's go on to what kwargs are. So kwargs, they are like arguments. So multiple arguments are defined with this asterisk over here, and multiple keyword arguments are defined by two asterisks. Okay, so I'm going to def, and then I'm going to reassign my func to a different function, and instead of args I'm putting kwargs. So again, like args, it doesn't matter if you put a different name over here. Okay, so if you put like anything else over here instead of kwargs, it doesn't matter. But again, like args, I prefer putting kwargs so I know that they are kwargs. Okay, so here this I'm not going to put a docstring here because I will explain what this function will do. Okay, so if the user puts in keyword argument fruit, and it's in my parameter it's in the scope of my parameter field of my function. So if it's in kwargs, then so if this keyword argument over here is in my kwargs, then I want to print, and then I'm going to put in f string. I want to print down my favorite fruit is and then you put in our curly braces, and we want our Python interpreter to map to kwargs, and then give us the value of the keyword argument fruit as our answer for my favorite fruit is, and then it'll give me the value of fruit. Okay, so let's test it out. But first we need to put in an else statement showing what will happen if I don't put in the keyword argument fruit. So else print I don't put double quotations, I don't like fruit, sadly. And then now I'm going to call my function. Oops. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to say my func, and then fruit equals, and then my fruit is going to be pineapple because I like pineapple. Okay, so if we try this, my favorite fruit is pineapple. So we can instead, I'm going to change this to ice cream. Oops. And then I'm going to change, I'm going to put in snack instead. I don't like fruit because there's nothing here that says, there's no keyword argument over here that says fruit, okay? So now I don't like fruit, but I actually don't, but this is just an example. Okay, so now, since we have done this kind of nice function, we are going to combine args and kwargs, and this will be a better result, okay? So let's define my func again, reassign it, so my func, and this time I'm going to put args, And remember, if you reassign it like this, remember that you have to put args before kwargs, otherwise you'll produce an error. Okay, so args, and then I need to put my 2 asterisks over here and put in my colon, and then if fruit and juice in kwargs. Okay, so if the keyword arguments fruit and juice are in kwargs, then I want to print, and then I'm going to put in my f string, and then I'm going to put in I like, and then I'm going to put in my curly braces, space, and then a space. You'll see why I'm doing this. And I'm going to use the join method. Now, don't use this because sometimes it is really confusing, but I'm going to use it now for a very good demonstration. So join, and then I want to join my args with and. So whatever args I put in, I'm going to join each one with the word and. And then I'm going to put in, and my favorite fruit is, and then we put in curly braces again. We go to kwargs, and then we go ahead and map to fruit, and then we put a full stop here, and now I'm going to say something else. I'm going to say print, and then another f string, and then may I have some, and then I'm going to put in another set of curly braces. I'm going to map to kwargs, then to juice. So may I have some, and then going to put in juice, and you'll see why in a minute, okay? Because the output will look really cool. So, and then if these aren't in here, I'm going to just pass it because I don't know what to do right now, okay? So now for my parameters, so I'm going to call this my func eggs. So eggs. So these are my arguments. Ice cream. Whoops. Fruit equal to cherries. And then I'm going to say juice is equal to orange. Okay, so if we run this, I like eggs and ice cream, and my favorite fruit is cherries. May I have some oranges? So pretty cool, right? Because only with this function over here. Okay, so let me show you something else. If I swap this over, so if I move this over here to the end, and then I put in my comma here, and then I run it, I will get an error. Whoops, I just need to take out this over here. I will get an error, and it says positional argument follows keyword argument, and that is wrong. So again, I need to change this. I need to go ahead and put this where it was supposed to be, and then put in my comma over here, and then if I run it again, whoops, where's my syntax? Let me just I forgot to put swap these bits around a bit. But then if we run it when it's correct, then it comes correctly, okay? That's because as I told you before, you put arguments before keyword arguments. Okay, so let's go through all that we have done. So first, we revised what a function was. Sadly, it's not there, but this thing right here, so this beautiful thing over here, is a args, okay? And what args do? They let the user input multiple arguments. Sorry about that spelling over here. But if it's wrong, so we used args and we let the user input multiple arguments, and also it doesn't matter what the parameter name is, okay? That is because the only thing that represents an argument is this asterisk. The args is this asterisk over here. And then over here we introduced kwargs. And what kwargs do, they let the user input multiple keyword argument. Okay, so and then also it doesn't matter what the parameter name is, okay? So it's similar to args except it only lets multiple keyword arguments. And then after that, we combined args and kwargs, okay? And we got a much better result over here, okay? So that's it for today. And if you are still stuck, don't worry, you can go to the notebook that I have linked in the comments below. And I guess that's it. Bye.